if I didn't fill out those papers and didn't answer all of the questions the way that the Vietnamese people wanted me to do it, they would have sent me back without question. Hell, they might have even, I'm pretty sure there's countries that if you break their rules entering the country like that, you're going to get thrown in jail. Here's my thoughts on immigration, considering what's going on in California and everything right now, which is kind of interesting. I'm not going to be giving my full thoughts on that. This is more of a generalized video about immigration, and hopefully you can understand that it's just this is not me trying to be offensive to anyone. Some of these thoughts may come off as cruel, or they might come off as unfair, but sometimes opinions have to be that way. Anyways, kind of going into it based off of like seeing the stuff in California and seeing the ICE raids and such. Let's get the cat out of the bag. Let's get maybe the first controversial idea. And like I said, these are just my thoughts. This might be a privileged position coming from an American who already is born in America. But my thought process when it comes to immigration, because me being an American, I do want to kind of like leave the country and go somewhere for a much cheaper cost of living. But getting the cat out of the bag, the first biggest thing is entering the country illegally. Now, a lot of people have different thoughts on it, but mine feels slightly simple, at least in my mind. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's too cruel. But I think if you enter in a country illegally, you understand, and if you're an adult, that this isn't me talking about the kids who enter in the country illegally, because they're kids. They don't know what's going on. But if you're an adult and you enter in the country, you take on that risk. You take on the aspect that somebody someday might find you and remove you from the country. And this isn't just the United States and Mexico kind of thing. This is something that seems like anywhere, it would happen anywhere in any type of country. Like if I get off the plane at any of the countries I've ever visited and I say, well, I don't have my passport, I'm kidding. I'm assumed that most likely they're going to send me right back on the plane, right where I came from. I'm not getting in, because they have to know who you are. They have to identify you. You can't just let anyone into a country. Like a simple thing of, criminal history. We got to know that. If you have a very huge criminal past or rap sheet from your country that you're immigrating from, we would want to know that. A country would want to know, like, who are you? Where are you from? What did you do? It's like all that kind of stuff. Coming into the country illegally is kind of like skirting those things, And that's the thing that I think a country, I think that seems justifiable. That seems normal that a country would want to know those things before you come in. And this isn't me saying that immigration is completely 100% justified, and the agents there are doing a great job. Like I remember the whole thing that was happening with Penguin Z or Moist Critical, and with his Australian gamers that were trying to come over for a competition. They were trying to get into the United States, but for some reason, this agent had it out for him. It's just like, you are not getting in, even though these are Australian gamers. I think even someone from EA told the immigration agent, saying like, hey, they need to be here for a tournament, and they wouldn't budge. They literally had to cut ties with Moist Critical's team and come in by themselves to get to America and perform. And that's ridiculous. So it's not to say that all immigration systems make sense or they're all fair, but it seems like the standard rule of if you enter in illegally, that seems like, well, you knew what you were getting yourself into. Like I remember when I went to Vietnam, and Vietnam, I mean, obviously United States, Vietnam, you're going to have to apply for a visa. You can't just, there's no entry visa. Like when you get there, you can just have a 30-day or 60-day entry visa. You have to apply for it, obviously, because of history. And if I didn't fill out those papers and didn't answer all of the questions the way that the Vietnamese people wanted me to do it, they would have sent me back without question. Hell, they might have even, I'm pretty sure there's countries that if you break their rules entering the country like that, you're going to get thrown in jail. You know, so that's my understandings on that. And also the another topic that's kind of interesting on it is that not every place on Earth can house everyone. Like one of the countries I would love to, if I could, like, think about it like this, if I could, like, trade your passport in for think if you trade your passport in like a trading card, like, hey, I'll give you my United States, my U.S. passport for a Dutch passport, and I can move to the Netherlands and be a Netherlands citizen. That'd be so easy. That'd be so amazing to do. But obviously, that's not how our world works. That'd be way too easy to do it. And a lot of people would take advantage of that. They just say, "Hey, it's not working out for me here. Here's my passport. I'm gone." But obviously, if you know what's going on in the Netherlands, they have a huge housing problem, especially in Amsterdam. Like, there could be maybe 40 to 100 people trying to get one place to live. It's like it's going to be extremely difficult for you to find a place. There's not enough space for people to live. This could be the same thing that's happening in Singapore right now. A very small country to live in. You're going to have to probably go somewhere else, or you're going to have a really big cause for being there. The United States is maybe a little bit of a different issue because we have a large expansion of land. And I think, especially with declining birth rates, immigration can definitely help with that. But if you're going to enter in the country, I think it's justifiable that you follow the rules and you go on the correct way. If you break the rules, then it seems to make sense that they would want to remove you, at least from my perspective. And then another thing, I guess, maybe someone can make up the question, like, well, what about refugees? What about people who are fleeing a very unfortunate circumstance? And I'm going to get into that in another video about luck and where you're born and stuff. But that is a terrible thing. It sucks that, like, if you're born in a place where it's obviously not conducive to, you just want to live a normal life. You want to live a normal life, but like, oh shoot, there's gang members. Oh shoot, there's cartel members. Oh my God, I have to deal with like all these deaths happening, and you just want to live a normal life. So you come to the United States for something like that, or you come to the United States for a better life to where you can go from the lower classes to the higher classes. And I still think you can do that in the United States. And I've seen people, like, I know Mexicans who are really extremely hard workers and do that. But here's one, and here's maybe another unpopular opinion, but it's like, it's the truth of the world that even if there are refugees from one country, it doesn't mean the neighboring country has to take them in. Sadly, I think that's happening over in the Middle East. It's just like there are European countries that are taking in refugees, but there are a lot of like Middle Eastern countries that will not take those refugees. It's like, sorry, that's not our concern. It's not our job. It's not our job to take care of things. And maybe you guys can leave a comment on this or respond to this. It's like, if your neighbor's house burns down, are you required to house them? Like, hey, they were your neighbor. Are you supposed to bring them in? Like, I would assume you have the right to say, hey, we would, I'm sorry that happened to you, but we cannot give you housing. We have already too many people in the house, or it's just because I don't want to give you housing. They have that right to deny it. So immigration it's an extremely tough thing. I mean, obviously a lot of people wish we could all we could just coexist and we can all just get along and you can go wherever you want to live, like the whole peachy kind of like cartoonish idea of immigration. But that's not how the world works. It's brutal. It's honestly like and cruel, and I'm going to get into that in my next video. But those are kind of my thoughts when it comes to immigration. I would definitely like to immigrate myself, but I understand there's I'm at the mercy of the country that I want to go through, and I must follow the rules if I want to successfully immigrate out of the United States. Anyways, let me know your thoughts on this, because this is just more of a general discussion, a general talk about immigration, and maybe it's coming more from an American's perspective, but let me know your guys' thoughts, whether you're European, all around the world. Tell me what your thoughts on immigration. With that said, cheers.